Hello, everyone. Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to remind you that my book, Drummers on Drumming, is available now on Amazon as both a paperback and an ebook. Based on the Big Fat 5 segment of this podcast, where I sit down with my favorite drummers to discuss the 5 records and stories that shaped their approach to the instrument, this book is packed with insights from the drummers who redefined how we think about the modern drum set. You can grab your copy now by checking the link in this episode's show notes or simply searching Drummers on Drumming on Amazon. So thank you for all the support, and now let's get into the show.
Hi, my name is Martina Barakoska, and I'm Ben's guest on Big Fat 5 this week.
What up? Welcome back to Big Fat 5, a podcast financially supported by Big Fat Snare Drum. This week's guest is Martina Barakoska, a Macedonian drummer, educator, composer, and clinician. I found out about Martina on Instagram, and I was hooked immediately. She's just starting her career, and I'm really excited to see how it unfolds. All in all, I just think she's a badass drummer, and I wanted to chat. So go give her a follow at IamThe_M on Instagram and TikTok, and just go to school. Today we discuss the 5-ish records that helped shape Martina into the drummer she is today. Cheers. So many of my listeners for this podcast are in the US and the UK, and they probably don't know what it was like to grow up in Macedonia. So no. Can you, so can you, I want to get to know you through your journey with music, which is why this whole show is formatted the way it is. But what role did music play in your early life in Macedonia?
Okay, so I didn't grow up in a musical family. They didn't play instruments or had any connection whatsoever with music, but there was always music on at our place, and my sister was a big lover of music. We always had MTV when it was good, and just we were always watching, oh, what's today's top something, or hey, when she was at school and I was home, I was you missed this song and this song and this song, and it was always this excitement about music that I felt even when I was little. So I guess that's where it comes from, because I was always into drawing, into listening music, and into creating something. So I guess drums were just the vessel through which I chose to do creative work, if I may put it that way. I guess I didn't know that I will do this professionally until I finished high school, because before in high school, I had a school band. We had a lot of fun playing bunch of gigs, doing cover songs, we even did an EP of 4 songs. So but until I finished, I was okay. As the years were going through, through the senior year, you say, I was I do not want to do anything else when I finish high school except play my drums. So that's when I went to music school. It's a local one. It's not a big deal, but it was a good way to get into okay, now what about music theory? What about reading notation, and it was a handful of things that I needed to go through, to call myself, I guess, in this box of being a professional musician. So from being in a general high school, I just went all in and decided to be something that I never thought I was gonna be. So it was a fun process, and doing it in Macedonia, it was even more fun. Like, it's not like a country with a lot of how do you say, we don't have like a music business or a music
A
industry that's
scene.
like, yeah, it's this country is like 2 million people country. It's not too big, it's not too old, it's like 30 years
Wow.
old.
Yeah, I know. I mean, not surprisingly, but very little about Macedonia, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was part of Yugoslavia, so we are still like growing, and a lot of stuff are just not working out maybe so well as other countries. But if someone asked me if I would choose somewhere else to be born in, like some other country, I guess I'd say no, because it made me like a stronger person, because not a lot of the things I wanted were that easy, in a way. But yeah, it's a the Balkans is like a whole other universe and story. So I guess music school was kind of my way into getting into the world, and surrounding myself with musicians and people that do this, Yeah.
So, and you don't have to say it if you don't want to, but what was the name of that band? And is that high school band? And is the EP
Oh,
available if people want to check out Young
yeah.
Martina?
Oh my God, that was like 2017. So yeah, we can share a link. It was
Yeah.
called Asteroid. Is that how you pronounce? Like, is that the
Asteroid,
accent?
yeah.
Yeah, from the book The Little Prince. Like, I love,
Okay.
that's one of my favorite books. It was like we didn't have a name until we signed up for a festival, and they said the festival said, but you need to have a name, and we were like, okay, and that was the name. So inspired by The Little Prince.
I think I know that book. It's like a children's like picture book,
Yeah.
right? Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not exactly a picture, but it's a really good book. It's a children's book, but as you grow up, when you come back to it, is like when you see it from the other perspective, is really good. I
All right,
recommend.
I will check it out. And what was your first? I know you said watching MTV, but do you remember your first musical memory? Was it a specific video? Was it a specific song your parents put on?
I know that Shakira was really popular when I was growing up, and on MTV, I vividly remember "Bring Me to Life" by Evanescence, the music
Yeah.
video when she climbs the building.
Yep.
I don't know if that's good enough, but I guess that's my first memory.
That's
And
definitely good
like,
enough.
I loved watching like TV stations that they put Macedonian music, MTV, but in Macedonia. Let's say, let's put it like that. So I loved watching like music videos from Macedonia, I guess. So something, a mix of that.
Would you, I mean, back in the day watching those, would you describe Macedonian music a certain way? Or is there a certain artist people would be like, oh, this is a good kind of foray into Macedonian music?
Yeah, there's a thing that's called like Macedonian pop. Like,
Oh,
it's a
okay.
really it's distinguishable. Like, once you hear it, you would understand what I'm saying if you
Okay.
hear it.
All right, so let's just get into your choices because I want to get to know you a little more. Obviously, I know you're drumming. I could watch your videos all day. It's really
Oh,
I
thank
would
you.
say your videos are very relaxing to watch. I mean, because your
Thank you.
technique I know we were just talking about, taking lessons with a friend of the pod, Dave Vilich. Watching a drummer that has effortless technique it's cathartic for me, and you have that. So
Wow.
keep it up.
Thank you. That's like, I guess, the best compliment next to good time and good sound. Yeah, like good technique is like when it feels good, when it looks good, I guess it feels good as well. So thank you.
Sweet. All right. So the first one is Californication, came out in 99. And the artist is Red Hot Chili Peppers. Drummer is, of course, Chad Smith. So take it away.
Of course. Yeah. So Californication, the song and the album are like one of the few moments when I've had like that aha moment when, you are into a certain style of music and then you hear something completely different, like so different that you're like, what the hell is this, But it's so good in the same time that you like, for the next 5 seconds, you're all hooked up and just like obsessing over it. So yeah, when I heard that, it was definitely not in 99 or 2000. It was when I started playing drums. And Californication, the song, is the one that I had the goal to learn because like I love the feel of the song. I love the ghost notes. They're so like good, and the whole song is just flows, and it's like a big story, and it's like whenever I hear it, it never gets boring. I don't know how is that possible, but I don't think it's so simple, but it's so like not boring at the same time. So that was the thing with I think it's the groove of Californication that got me hooked up to the song so much, and like my brain that was trying to figure out how to do like all those drags and nuances that Chad's playing with. He is also one of my first favorite drummers. So I love that he's always so groovy when he plays. Nothing is ever too solid, it always just like moves around, and I love that about him. When you hear Californication, it's like the left hand is so soft and nice and groovy, and he plays like a close hi-hat, but he always jumps with his left foot. If you focus on the hi-hat, it's a really nice sound. Yeah, I think everyone will know what I'm talking about.
Psychic spies from China try to steal your mind's elation, and little girls from Sweden dream of silver screen quotation. And if you want these kind of dreams, it's Californication.
And I know when I figured out how to play like the ghost notes and like the whole groove, it was like a different level. I felt like I was like, okay, now I unlocked something that I can, that I can explore. And it's so steady at the same time.
And to get those rim shots that consistent, it's like you listen to it as a drummer, you're like, oh, the notes themselves are intermediate, I guess, but to get the tones that he gets out of his drums, it's insane.
It's like so big. It's really big.
Yeah. So awesome. He could have done like da da boom. He just goes pause, drag into it. That's so good.
Yeah.
Every big girl
when you watch him play, he is the loosest drummer. Like I swear, his wrists are made of like noodles.
Yeah.
Which is, you can hear that in his tone.
He's always like all over the place with his hands, but he's always like here with his body, and it's
exactly.
Really.
He's super tall, right? I think he's like 6'5" or 6'6". Yeah.
And he's now playing, I think, more intensively. That's how I feel. Like, because like the whole music is a bit more upfront.
Yep.
And he's just laying in more. And now it will be harder. Just a quick note for Red Hot Chili Peppers. I think there's not like, it was a hard choice. I think I was really torn between Californication and By the Way, because on By the Way is like this whole other story that's like they're so different and like more like emotional, not so, I guess Californication is a bit like under pressure. That's how I feel for it. And By the Way is like more like flowy and open. When I heard that, it was like boom. Yeah.
I think By the Way was actually the third record I ever bought. The first one was Americana by The Offspring. The second one was regretfully a Marilyn Manson record, and then the third one was By the Way. But all right, so number 2, and I love this girl Stella Mozgawa, and it's the album Warpaint by the band Warpaint. Came out in 2014. Yeah. So yeah, where were you when this album hit you in the right spot?
Oh, I was out with friends, and a friend was like, the first song that I heard from them was Bees. And she was like, you're a drummer and this is a girl drummer, so I think you'll like her. And I was like, okay, let's check it out. And she played it and I was like, yeah, okay, they sound different for sure. It was like is the second aha moment, like when I was like already like really into Red Hot Chili Peppers, and everything was so soft and emotional as they are, and like then you have Warpin, and they're even more like emotional and like I don't know, everything like colorful and happy and sad at the same time. So I was like, who are those? Like, what's going on? Like I could not, I don't know. So and the fact that when I was in high school, there were not a lot of like girls that were playing drums or like girl bands and everything. So when I saw them, it was like, oh my God, this is so like encouraging in a way. Like it was so good to see those girls. They were so good. Like every one of them, like Emily, Jenny on the bass, Theresa, and Stella is like a different universe. They're also so great. I was really looking up to them. It was a moment where I felt like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. And yeah, they were whenever I felt like unmotivated and stuff like that, I was always like, I don't know, it was just something about them that was keeping me going. I cannot really explain it and put it into words, but it's just a feeling. And yeah, I have this like strange connection with the band. Like it was on a deeper level. It's one of my favorite bands. So yeah, I was like out with friends, and when I got home, I checked them out, and I was like, oh my god! And then those sessions that they played from like their, it's called Rough Trade sessions.
Yeah, Rough Trade.
They played a bunch of songs from that album, and I was like, oh my god. And even like old songs that they made it like in the, you know, because Stella was not always a part of the band, like the way they played like the old songs is like just a different story. So I think I fell in love with that session, and then everything from that was history. But keep it healthy. Love is to die is like one of the, I'd say it's a masterpiece. Like keep it healthy is one of the like, I don't know, mind-blowing stuff that I've heard when I was younger. And this riff, I love it. I love her, you know, organic sound.
Totally.
She sounds so organic all the time. Her snare sound is amazing, like this dry. And the fact that they all sing is amazing as well.
Yeah. Are they still together?
Yeah, they're about to drop a new album.
Awesome.
Which is nice. Yeah. And I always love this big sound, you know, this dry big sound that she has, like with the right cymbal when it's like so open and so dry at the same time. I love it. If I have someone asks me about my sound and everything, I think I'll like a big percent of how I sound, or I guess my projection and my influence is Stella, because really I really love her sound, and I spend a lot of time like figuring out how she does it and how she sounds like that, and just trying to channel that in a way. Yeah.
That's a cool beat.
Yeah, and I spent so much time when I was growing up just trying to play this song from beginning to end, just like she does it, and like do it and without a mistake, you know. That was like one of my goals. And it's so different all the time. Like I love her playing. It's so delicate and so meaningful, and I think she reacts to the music really well. So she fits in the right spot, and she does fills in the right spot, and she always does them like, you know, with a slight variation, you know, and with a slight, you know, storytelling moment, you know. So if something appears a couple of times, you know, if a moment appears and she does a feel at that moment, she will always do it a little bit differently. And it's really nice to see like I know that there's like a thought behind it. I At least that's how I'm seeing it. Maybe.
Is that how you've kind of formulated stuff when you're writing parts? You kind of take that and run with it?
Yeah, and I think it's because I tried to understand her. That's how I started going and approaching things, not like copying, but just I really like the approach, the thoughtful thing of a like cadence drumming, like how it feels right. If you hear it in your head, it feels right, it will sound right, and everyone will feel it, and I think also Benny Greb does that like in a most like virtuosic like in a most amazing way, and that's why when I first heard him was like he topped everything and that I've ever heard, like one of his drum solos on a drum festival. It was like amazing to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, there's that Drumeo festival too. I think it was the one that happened right before the pandemic became the pandemic, where he like messes up, and he at least, maybe he didn't mess up, at least he blames himself live, and he like has to restart 3 times. But just, you can tell in his heart of hearts, he loves it. He's like, yeah, I messed up. It's all good. And it made me feel better, because I'm like, oh my God, Benny Greb messed up 3 times in a row.
He's human.
This is, I was like, what CGI is this? Isn't really Benny. No, but going back to Jenny from War Paint, I remember the first time I saw them, I want to say it was either Jimmy Fallon or Seth Meyers, one of the late night shows, where she's playing bass, and I don't know how she timed it, or maybe they did it after the fact, they edited it this way, but they're all kind of zooming in on each one of the members, and Jenny's just playing bass, and the camera zooms in, it's like almost just her like shoulder up, facing the camera, and she looks over and she just winks in like the coolest way possible, that I was like, this is the coolest band ever. I'll send you the video after we get off, because it really is. You're just like, oh, she's so cool. She was way cooler than me on my couch. But War Paint's awesome. I agree.
Yeah, word.
All right, so number 3, and this is one of my favorite albums of all time. We've actually had an episode specifically with me and Gunnar Olsen talking about Phil and our favorite Phil moments, but it's the album In Rainbows. Came out in 2007, and it is, of course, Radiohead with, like I said, Phil Selway on drums.
Yeah, so I love this album, and I think why I fell in love with this album is, I guess, the basement sessions. I love watching like bands live. Like, I think that always there's like a really nice way of hearing an album is a different thing, but hearing like play the album live is a completely different experience. And I think when I heard Weird Fishes and Reckoner and like all those songs, I was like, oh my God. And I was just hooked immediately. And I don't know, I don't have much to say. It's just like one of those albums that's like so right and so perfect that I don't even have anything to say, It's musically a masterpiece. Like everything that Tom York does, he's like a genius. I don't think I have like something that Tom York did that I didn't like. I don't know. It's just an amazing album, amazing like emotion, and it's always like musically right, and it always puts me in a spot that's like really it always puts me in the same spot, I wanted to say, when I put it on. Yeah,
the song All I Need changed the way I think about beats forever. It's just the syncopation with the bass drum and then dropping out the hi-hat just randomly for half a bar. It's these simple things that you're like, oh, you can make something that I would teach a student on day one the most vibey thing in the world. And it's all about conviction, and how Matt Johnston, who's been on the show, talked. He just says believability. Phil just has that, And also, and to kind of repeat what we were talking about with the show we did. I mean, Phil is just the perfect example. Maybe Ringo has this similarly, of just adapting with the band and playing for the song and just letting the songwriters be like, dude, I know we were doing this like mid 90s drum thing. Now, how about we do this? And he's like, dude, I'm going to be on board and I'm going to knock it out of the park.
Exactly.
He's one of the most underrated guys to do it. 100%.
Yeah.
I'm happy you chose this. And this record specifically, because they kind of went back to kind of a more organic sound. For a few records, they went a little bit, not too much, but just obviously in a little more the electronic way. And they kind of came back. And that's why I love the basement sessions, because you can tell that, oh, they can perform all these songs live. They're not relying on a bunch of weird, they're not relying on the studio. They can actually produce this. So it was a little more of an organic record for them. And I love it so much.
Yeah, I love it. And the basement sessions is one of the most perfect things. And I just am at a loss for words. I don't have much to say about this record. And I think you described it perfectly. It's so organic and it's so emotional and it's so like everything that you need to be in that kind of a mood that they always set me in a really specific radio heady mood, which I love. Yeah.
And the basement video too that you're talking about is really cool for a second reason, because whoever did the videography for that did such a good job of knowing where the camera should be during every song. So you learn about the record in a whole different way. Because you wouldn't know, oh my God, I didn't know this like second arpeggiated synth was coming in, but the camera goes, you're like, now I have to go listen to that song on the record again. Because they did such a good job of showing what the band was doing.
Reckoner is an amazing song because I know that, when he starts the beat, exactly what you're talking about, they film him and you can see like how he plays it and like how he's so big and like I don't know, it's just amazing to see it and I know that whenever I hear that song, it's just the only thing, if I sit on my drums, is the only thing that I want to play then. And I especially love like their B parts, the because we're suffering, and with Weird Fishes is the same. Like I always love, like I wait the whole song to hear that part. It's amazing. When there's a part that you look forward from the song.
Oh sure.
Yeah.
It's cool going back to these records that have drummers that I'm assuming they didn't really quantize anything. You sometimes look forward to these little mistakes, quote unquote, but these little bits of humanity in there. And Phil definitely has these in his playing for sure. It's interesting, the mix I'm hearing right now, at least in my headphone, it sounds, I don't even hear the ride cymbal doing stuff right now.
Yeah, it's like really roomy. It's not at all pointed at specific elements.
So good. And Gunnar, he has the ride that Phil uses in that video. I believe it's called the Uptown Ride. It's a Zildjian. It's like
K, really dry one.
Yeah, super dry. He played it in front of me, and I'm like, dude, that sounds so bad. but when you put it in context of everything, it's just like, oh, I'm not sure if it's the one he used on the record, but it's the one he used in the Basement video.
Yeah. Yeah, this part, like, it's amazing.
He's using like his voice as like a vibrato synth. Yeah, he's playing chords with his vocals. I mean, now there's actual synth there, strings. I mean, I can't imagine being in this band when Tom's like, "Hey guys, I have a few new songs," and you just before he starts play, you're like, I there's a chance I could be hearing one of the best songs ever written, like a classic song."
Yeah, like imagine being in Radiohead and someone comes at a rehearsal and he's like, "Here's Reckoner,"
Yeah, exactly.
and you're like, "What? What is this?"
Yeah, I'm so curious. It'd be awesome to do one of those like Song Exploder. I would love to hear the demo of what this is, because obviously the beginning, it's just that guitar part is probably what Tom wrote. But I'm curious how much of that, if Phil just did that ride thing and then that became a second thing, or I want to know when Tom brought it to the band, at what stage was it? Because I mean, Tom's a drummer, as I'm sure you know, so maybe he did have kind of, I'm thinking this weird, loopy ride thing. But yeah, I would love to be a fly on the wall for this record, especially because it is very organic. Everyone has like a part that can play. Yeah, such a good song.
Amazing. Glad we heard that.
Yeah, me too.
It just it even now it successfully took me to that mood, that Radiohead puts me. Especially this record. It's amazing. It's soothing, but a little bit unsettling as well. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah.
I think that's a great way to describe it. That's a great way to describe it. All right. So number 4, which is kind of number 4/4A/4B, and it's John Frusciante and his solo records. And you actually put 2 separate solo records. The first one being The Will to Death from 2004, and then Empyrean from 2009. So floor is yours.
I just don't have to say much about this, but it was in the same era when I was really into the Red Hot, and when I heard everything, and then I was like, yeah, okay, John's not the guitarist anymore, but what is he doing? Because like I loved watching live shows, as we said, of like, and you're looking forward to the moment of the song when John solos and like he like leaves his soul like on the stage, and it's amazing to see and hear. So that's how I think I just fell in love with his musicality and expression. So everything that I heard, like, I cannot explain it. Like, literally all, like every album that I heard, from Neandra, the one like that where he recorded on cassettes and everything, like on the, I don't know, on an acoustic guitar, to the Empyrean, like the biggest, fullest, most open sounding album. Is like amazing. I always learned something else about him and about his thoughts and musicality, and he always had different approaches, and he always I think he is like an example of you are, for example, let's say you are really into In Rainbows, and it shows in your playing, it shows in your music making, it shows in your songs. And I think you can see, like, in every album you can see and hear who is listening to, and how he feels and what he's going through. And like, I love his openness. As much as he's not open like to talking about everything, he's open in showing it in his music, and I love that about him.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I know that when the Empyrean is an amazing album. It's so pure in a way. The Will to Dead has amazing songs. Curtains is an amazing album. I'm not sure if that was the right name, but The Afterglow, maybe with Josh Klinghoffer, is an amazing album as well. And it's really like Klinghoffer also did like sound effects at some point with the Red Hot. And he's also doing that on that album, and it's amazing.
All right. Did you want to play the Afterglow?
It's none of those albums, but yeah, sure, sure.
All right. Or we can play, I mean, I have the other ones queued up if you'd rather play a song from The Will to Death or Empyrean.
No, play the Afterglow. It's a good one. And he always collabs with and makes me music with a lot of different musicians. It's not every time that he's like, oh, this is the drummer for my solo record. I guess it's just a feeling. Like sometimes it's Chad, sometimes it's Josh, because he's a drummer as well. And I don't know, it's a bunch of people, and I love that.
This is cool. It's from 2004, and the album is A Sphere in the Heart of Silence.
Oh,
and,
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, this is cool. This is very timeless. This doesn't sound like it's 16 or now at this point 17 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, and a fun fact is that Josh was playing drums for Warpaint at some point at some of the albums, which is amazing. He's on the song Elephants, which is an amazing like drum part. Maybe you could play it.
Yeah. Elephant.
Like I love that song, and it's amazing.
All right, so that was The Afterglow, and now here is Elephants by Warpaint.
It's like you would never expect him to come with this. You'll hear. At least I didn't.
Yeah, no, I would have gone boom, boom, tekka, boom, you know, like some kind of syncopated on like the rim clicks or something.
And now this thing. It's so all over the place, but it fits the song so well. I don't know what's happening.
This is so cool. Yeah, that's so interesting. It's almost like he played it and they just like scooted it over half a bar and like that's the drum part.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I'm gonna try this. And it was like, oh, we're gonna keep it. You're done. But
guys, I was just trying to make you laugh. This is not, yeah.
Yeah, I love it in a really weird way. It's something that you would remember, you know. Oh, you know that beat from Elephants, you know, that drum beat? It's crazy. And it's like instant hook. If you hear it like soloed, you would know it's from this song. and it's really good.
You know, I am looking for a new sound check song for my new tour coming up, so this might have to be it. Thank you,
Yeah.
Martina.
You're welcome.
All right, so number 5 is Moanin' from a long time ago, 1959. The great Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers is the artist, and of course it's Art Blakey on drums. So this is kind of an outlier from your other choices, so this is great. What about this album stuck out to you?
Well, I think it's one of the, when I went to music school, as I said, it was mostly jazz that we worked on. And before that, I was into this music that we played until now. So it was a big, jump from really experimental music from like modern era to jazz. I don't know how it is there in music schools, but there were a lot of rules there because we're not familiar. I was not familiar with jazz music. So this is one of the first things that I heard. Like Moanin' was one of the first songs that I played with the ensemble that I was in. So it cannot not be an influence, and I love it for many reasons. One, because I was really uncomfortable. It was like something that I've never tried, never did, never listened to. It was not like a tradition anywhere to listen to jazz, at least where I was, in my circles. So yeah, it was a big step forward, I guess, to just learning about the history of music and learning about jazz and all those like legendary drummers. Art Blakey is one of the first ones that I really loved. Like I loved his, and I think one of the things that I noticed, and I love that you were doing this because it's somehow I analyzed what I like, and one thing is that it sounds big, and a lot of those drummers and songs like sound big, and I love like that big bandish sound, like the Art Blakey with, he's always like full with energy and with like a lot of like fast stuff, and he's so happy when he plays, and I love that about him. And there are a lot of great songs there. Let me just Moanin' is a great song, and Are You Real is an amazing song. I love like the feel of that song. You can play that one. And
let's do that one because Moanin's 9 minutes long. So
yeah. We can just hear the theme. It's amazing.
I like the sound of his right cymbal.
Yeah. It's so different, and I kind of learned to love that it's different from everything I loved before I went to school. And I did have a hard time like fitting in with like this kind of playing style. I maybe still do. But yeah, I'm like, one of my goals is to kind of get into and find what I like and what's the thing that, in Rainbows touched me. And I'm sure that there's some like thing in jazz that will like touch me in the same way, you know, and it will be close to me as those previous albums speak to me, you know. And I think one of the honorable mentions is John Coltrane. So one of the musicians from like the jazz era that really speaks to me, you know. I love his musicality and sensibility, and like his music is so good. I remember the first time that I heard Equinox, and like his songs and themes are always really powerful. So I love that about him.
Well, let's play Equinox by John Coltrane.
Yeah.
So cool. Cool. I've never heard this song before.
No?
No, I'm not cool. I'm not cool.
It's amazing. It's amazing because it's really flowing really nicely. Like the bass and the drums are really like just like jumping from beat to beat, and it's amazing to hear.
Yeah. It's recorded so interestingly, and I'm not sure if this is coming through mono for you, but it's like it seems like the everyone is so far away. Like it's recorded well, but it just like that lead, those saxes sound like they're 25 feet away.
Mm. It's really musical. It's really like they all sound like one. They all sound like you played a chord on a piano, you know?
Yep. A few of your other honorable mentions I wanted to dissect is Paramore. I know I've heard you talk about Paramore before in the past. Yeah, what is it about Paramore that really spoke to you?
I think it's the drums and the energy. Because it's funny because I never was like the fan of Paramore, like just like sitting down and listening to them all day, you know, and fangirling. But when I went to, you know, in high school, I went to like to a drum school, not a drum, to a music school, but like a course, I guess you could say that. And like we at the end of the year we always did this like concerts together, you know. There were like drums, there were singers, bass players, guitarists, and we had like a list of 25 songs, and you are gonna get like 2 songs from those, you know, and you need to prepare them, and you maybe will prepare them all semester, you know. I somehow always got Paramore or you know, Muse or some like kind of those songs. So in a unconscious way, I guess they're a big influence because I was spending a lot of time playing their songs and learning their songs, at least those. Like I remember Still Into You. That was like a big bite for me back in the day, because it's not a simple song. There's like this like open hi-hats and rim plays and everything. There's a lot going on. I cannot remember. I know that I was dying to be able to play Crush Crush and Misery Business and Monster. They always have this like huge drums again and like fast and that's like the only time where fast was really like speaking to me, because it was really energetic and big and had a point, you know. It really suited the music, and I always loved like jamming to them. So that's why they're an influence, you know. Really like spontaneous, I guess. But I love After Laughter, and I love a bunch of their songs.
You did say the whole catalog, but I do have that album queued up. Is there a certain song from that record that you wanted to play for people that aren't familiar with a more current Paramore?
There are like 3 favorites. So the most famous is Told You So. I love that, the drum parts. Pool and Idol Worship. So Idol Worship. It's so good.
Would not expect it to be halftime. That's cool. But the bass drum keeps it still driving. Sounded like that cymbal was like, there's so much tape on it.
Yeah.
Because he crashed it, but it just, yeah.
Yeah.
Haley's so awesome.
Yeah. I love her album.
I haven't
Petals,
heard her solo record. Yeah,
you should. Can we queue up a song from her?
absolutely.
Do Simmer, because I love the drums.
Sure. All right, that was Idol Worship, and now Simmer from the woman herself, Haley.
The drummer is
Is it Aaron Steele?
Aaron Steele. Yeah, he's amazing. His sound is amazing.
He's been on the podcast before. He's a really that was a fun episode. Yeah, this is a very Aaron groove.
He's using so much snares, so many snares. I think there are 3 or something. There's like a small one, the main one, and like a big, like with a big fat snare drum one. I don't know. Yeah.
You did it. You mentioned it.
You think that you tamed it, but it's just lying in wait. Rage, is it in our veins? Feel it in my face when I least expect it. Kevin, control. There's so many ways to give in. Eyes closed. Another way to make it to 10. Or how to draw the line between wrath and mercy. Gotta simmer, 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 simmer down. Control.
Ah, it's so cool.
Many ways to give in. Eyes closed. Another way to make it to 10. Know how to draw the line between wrath and mercy. Gotta simmer, 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 simmer down.
He's got like the same dry sound that I love with Stella.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
Something more precious. He would have never.
God, it's like, could you play softer?
If my child needed protection from a fuck
this part.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, drums are fun. Drums are awesome.
Yeah.
And I did want to finish with one, and it's I know you've mentioned before how your love for James Blake. So
Oh,
is
yeah.
there, what's a good James Blake song for someone who's not really familiar with his stuff?
I guess the obvious answer is Retrograde.
Okay.
Next one is There's a Limit to Your Love. I've done a video. Like, I love that he's, I fell in love with his music when I figured out that I can jam to it. Like, because they're, like, the drums are so minimal. And, like, I always, like, I would shut the lights off and just put on James Blake and would just, like, jam to it. And There's a Limit to Your Love is that kind of a song. It's so soft and it's so powerful. I love that.
There's a limit to
So
your
good.
love. Like a waterfall in slow motion. Like a map with no ocean. There's a limit to your love, your love, your love, your love.
Yeah, and his album The Color in Anything is
Okay.
amazing as well. I think it's
So carelessly there.
one of his earlier
Is it
ones.
truth or dare? There's a limit
What
to
song you
your
think from
care.
that record?
There's a
Radio
limit
Silence
to your
is amazing.
love.
Okay. All right, Radio Silence.
I love his vocals and how he always has like this choir of him.
I can't believe this, you don't wanna see. I can't believe this, you
Like
don't
the outro of this song is amazing.
I can't believe
All right.
this, you don't wanna see.
Skipping forward.
I don't know how you feel.
Ooh, that bass.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you gave me so many honorable mentions, so maybe we can have you back on. But if people do want to go check out your drumming a little more, where can people find you on social media and all that jazz?
I have my Instagram. It's at IMD, that thingy.
Underscore?
So at IMDM. No, wait. At
We'll get there.
I didn't rehearse it. So
Oh, yeah, this is the thing we're messing up on.
yeah. So you can find me on Instagram at IMD_M. That's my handle on TikTok as well. I am planning to post more videos on YouTube, so you can find me there as Martina Barakoska. Martina Barakoska if you want to say it in Macedonian.
That's way cooler. Yeah.
So Instagram, I have my website as well if you want to maybe reach out to me or maybe learn more about me. So it's martinabarakoska.com.
And that's the show. If you're listening on a platform that allows ratings and reviews, do that. It helps more people find the show, so it'll get bigger and better, and hopefully I'll have a chance to sell out one day. But you'll be an OG listener that can brag to all your friends. Anyways, why don't you go and check us out at bigfatsnaredrum.com and follow us on all the socials. Just search for Big Fat Snare Drum and you will find us. The show is edited in part using iZotope RX Audio Editor. It's amazing, so go check that out at iZotope.com. And thanks again to Gunnar Olsen for the theme music. Bye!